Welcome back. I'm excited to be able to introduce Michelle Beck, who is our Deputy Director for the Governor's Crime Commission. Michelle, take it away.
Thanks, Jason. That's interim, and I am mostly the Criminal Justice Analysis Center Director. So, hello, everyone. I know it's been a long day, and you've heard the word data so many times. I'm just going to say it a few more hundred, and we'll go. But I do want you to think about data in a little different way. I know, or just a little while ago, Navin made a comment that I was like, oh, wait a minute, what's he saying? But what he said was that the narrative is the most important part to him as a planner and oftentimes grant administrators to understand the projects or programs that the individual projects or programs. But in order to have an understanding of all of the projects or programs that we fund here, the subgrantees, we can't read all of the narratives and we can't get the meat out of each of them to present unless we have some way to aggregate it. And that's where, if you ask me, we turn information into data. So let me tell you a little bit about what the Criminal Justice Analysis Center does. We are the Statistical Analysis Center for the state of North Carolina. And for some reason, my slides aren't advancing. I just advanced it a while ago. Okay, sorry, I'll just keep talking. But we're every state except for Texas has a Criminal Justice Analysis Center or a Statistical Analysis Center. And the North Carolina Center was reestablished in 2018. And here we go, produce a good number of publications. Well, it's advancing on mine, but not on let me stop and start again. Okay, there we go. So these are some examples of the publications that we produce here in the Criminal Justice Analysis Center. Mostly we have crime information and some traffic stop information. We also collect deaths in custody that we aggregate and publish that once a year. And this is what we do. We analyze data. We help interpret the data. That can be quantitative or qualitative data. So the quantitative data are the numbers and things that we can count and aggregate. And then qualitative is doing things like taking maybe some of the narratives or some of the open text fields that you provide information to and summarizing those in some way. So when we talk about data, we want to make sure that what we're providing is valuable. And so that really gets at the quality of the data. And without quality data, so you may have seen or heard something like this before. Garbage in, garbage out. So this is a horrible portrayal of that notion, that if what you're providing as data or information is not of high quality, reliable, valid, we'll talk about some of the different dimensions, then you can make lots of pretty charts and they will summarize something, but it's not going to be anything that's of any use. So going back to talking about why quality of the data matters, in order to be able to make decisions based on the data that you have or the information, it needs to be something that you can make reliable decisions on. So it needs to be good quality data. Excuse me. And it also needs to be consistent and accurate so that you can summarize what's really happening and see where maybe there are some processes that can be changed or errors reduced. But also by tracking data, it helps to reduce the risk of error, and increase the excuse me, sorry, let me grab a sip of water. Sorry. Okay, so identifying inequality helps to prevent making decisions off of something that you don't can't rely on. And then being able to tell your story through data provides transparency and allows trust or builds trust in the programming. So I already mentioned this, but so there are 6 different dimensions of data quality that I just want to hit on because we all agree quality is a good thing. But what does that really mean? What does it boil down to? So if you look at these targets, there are 3 arrows in each of them, but some are more erroneous than others. So let's talk first about accuracy. Accuracy would be the bullseye, so the one all the way to the right. But and that's what we work toward, and that's what we hope for, and we set ourselves up for success, that success, but it doesn't always happen that way. But sometimes, like with the first bullseye, that's very consistent, but not precise. So that the second notion is you may be measuring something uniformly, but it's not accurate, right? So you're pulling that back, the bow of the arrow, the bow each time the exact same way. You're getting in the same area, but it's not where you need to be. So you need to make sure that you're measuring what you're really trying to measure or shooting for. And then also the third one here, and these are all different dimensions that kind of get at how you do data collection and data entry. So the next one is completeness, whether all the information that you have is there. Some ways that these data quality dimensions are mitigated are with having limited text fields. So each time maybe just me, but whenever I type something, I'm pretty likely to maybe have a typo in there. If you're trying to aggregate data, typos are not going to be recognized as the same thing. So if you type yes, Y-E-S, 90% of the time, but every once in a while you put 2 S's on there, or you miss the E and you have Y-S-S or just Y-S, those are not going to be recognized as the same value or the data that you're trying to collect. So that's just something to mention, that when you're typing in, the more you have to type in things, and this is talking about data collection in each of your agencies as well, because accuracy starts when the data is created, when information is entered into a system. Okay, so those are 3 of the 6. The next 3 are sort of around defining what you want to measure or what you want to report, the type of information that you need about programs or the data, and also some of the specific operational aspects of data. So this includes data collection as well. So validity is what you're trying to measure being captured by the way you're defining it. And you have the right format in there. Those types of things are validity, and timeliness and uniqueness. So the reason I chose this graphic is because if we think of, I'm in the field of sociology, so we use the word variable, but think of concept or data point or data element or whatever. If we think of those things as the dots on the left side of this graphic. The dots are different shapes. They're different sizes. They're at different points along the continuum. But they have similarities. So that's the concept that we're trying to get the information for. So that's where the validity comes in. So whatever it is, if we can boil down all of this information, or not all of this information, but one piece of this, one concept or one variable measure into the 4 categories, that's what we're trying to do to synthesize data in to be able to aggregate it. Okay, so that probably was me rambling a lot, but the idea is data points that you're trying to measure. So let's use a demographic measure of age. So let's say these dots are individuals, and these are their ages, somehow represented by these dots. But then we really just want to boil it down to 4 categories. And these dots also represent other things about them. So, maybe these large lighter blue ones have date of birth, the time of birth, the day of the week it was. We really only care about the date of birth, and that's going to put them in an age category on the right. So that's how we sort of talking about defining data. Anyway, I've gone on too much about that. I apologize. But thinking about timeliness and uniqueness of data, the uniqueness makes sense. We don't want duplicate records, but we also don't want to be measuring the same thing multiple ways. So that's something to think of. And then timeliness is about how we can get data out of our system or data for reporting, but it also is important when we're talking about when that data is recorded, so that we know that it's more accurate the more recent to the time of event that it's recorded. Okay, so in general, this is my thought on data. I'm a bit of a data geek, but what it does is it takes the blurred big picture and it allows you, going back to the magnifying glass that I had on the second slide, to kind of get down and see some of the nitty gritty of what's happening in your program. Before I let you go, I do want to just take a moment to talk a little bit about one of the data sources that we have here at CJAC, and that is the Justice Data Portal. This is an example of some of the data that's available there. We have recently redesigned it, so if you saw this a year ago, it's a completely different look. It has different information. The example here that I'm showing is of Pender County. These are the crimes that are reported by county for the year 2024. This is the National Incident-Based Reporting System that all of the agencies, well, not all of the agencies, that agencies in North Carolina submit to the SBI, and then it's submitted to the FBI. One thing that I want to point out about this is that very thing. All agencies do not report. So when you look at your county, and of course we have all 100 counties in the system, and this is just a screenshot just to make sure I didn't have technical difficulty. But you'll want to look on the left-hand side under Pender, that bottom line where it says 99% of population covered. That's going to vary by county. We're lucky that most of our counties have really high reporting rates. There are less than 10% of the counties that have less than 75% of their agencies report. And I want to caution you that if you're one of those counties, that you have to be careful to use this data or to be able to interpret it for county statistics, because if all of the agencies aren't reporting to the state what their crime reports are, then we're not sure what we're missing, right? So in the state overall, you'll see the line in the right column. 95% of all of the population in North Carolina are in jurisdictions where the law enforcement agencies are reporting crime statistics. So some of the things that are on this county page, this is for Pender. It shows the reported crime count by crime area. So there's crimes against person, crimes against property, and society. It shows a comparison between the county, the person county, and the state as a whole. And then it also has the top 10 crimes for the county, and they're broken down in offense groups, so a little more detail than just in the three categories. Another area that we have data on in the data portal are victim demographics. This is just an example of Buncombe County, looking at the breakdown for gender and age, and then age by gender down below. And this is for all of the victims in the database that reported at least one of the demographic characteristics. So for Buncombe County, I don't have the exact number. It has it on the other page, but it's about 8,600 victims that we have information for there. And then this is another piece of information that I think is interesting that we have on the data portal is victim offender relationship. This is statewide, but this is also available by each county. Just to walk you through a little bit, so the age is on the bottom. The blue line that kind of jumps up at the 26 to 35 age is for current or former intimate partner. So this is the relationship as reported by the victim in crimes against a person. And that would be all of the different crimes against a person. And you can get it broken down by the different offenses on the data portal as well. I was looking to see if there were any questions. I don't see any questions. So that's all I had, just to spend a little time rambling on confusingly about data, unintentionally. But I do appreciate all of the effort that is put into the data collection and reporting by the programs. And we are trying to make better use of that as we have better data. We'll be able to report more aggregate data, summary data. We are asked all the time about where are the programs that the Governor's Crime Commission funds, and that's something we're working to put together some visualizations and some other things to help be able to better describe the great work that you're doing out there and what's being funded by the Governor's Crime Commission.